Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is the natural definition of sensorality? So, to start with a couple definitions and concepts again, I present this as if you're just one of the random people on YouTube watching this for completion, but we use language. Language has a base, that base is sound, that sound comes from physical objects moving, and that sound reflects the geometric properties of those physical objects. And so we have this irreducibility. That is not something you've really seen articulated in physics or mathematics completely consequentially, meaning they understand what the implications are. The most readily example you have of irreducibility is the entire conversation of prime numbers in mathematics. Prime numbers are irreducible. But this concept of irreducibility extends a lot farther and has a lot more comprehensive implications, right? Literally, mathematics is thematics, and all of your papers and ideas and conceptualizations are articulated with language. And so we have this irreducible unit of language, a syllable, right? And that is independent of any language, English, German, French, Hindi, so on and so forth. We have some sort of association, a fundamental unit of sound and meaning. Words have meaning. And so a word is a sequence of syllability. It is uniquely differentiable, right? I can tell this is a book, this is a sweatshirt, this is a microphone. Those clearly indicate different things. And so the base of language is syllability. A word is a sequence of syllability. And what is sensorality? What is the natural definition of sensorality? It's not a word, right? It's a set of syllability, sensorality. And we're showing by progressing our linguistics the direct integration of that syllability into ontology. You look at all of these different words that you use, they're comprised of other words. We are simply executing the analytical process to show how words work, right? How they evolve, how meaning is associated to sound. In actuality, right, that's where you start, right? This irreducibility of association of sound to meaning. You're a little baby saying, ah, wah, wah, wah. And then you heard your parents, guardians, environment saying sounds and pointing to objects, to things, to processes. And so this irreducibility is where you start. And we're just executing and demonstrating this analytical process of how words work. So what is sensorality? What is its natural definition? We kind of finished up with this big overall result. The difference between 3 and 8 is 5. The difference between E and A is I. That is immediately present in all languages. And we're trying to, again, continue our analytical framework to say or prove with this set of syllability, sensorality, some sort of unique chronological progression of vowels and consonants independent of one language. Right? How do words work? Why does it matter? What is language? How does language function in its entirety? And again, we've already done it. Speciality is special with an ITY. That is the proof. That is the complete reduction. That is what we were doing with sensorality. If you've never seen me before, you've never heard of speciality, but it's any time somebody calls somebody else special. Right? Special is the natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism. It's a well-defined word. People say the word special. Speciality is just a linguistic generalization of that, and the concept is immediately validated in true. If you want to differentiate, if you want to be different, people call you special. And so all of language evolves and it progresses and it's chronological. And so that was where we started, is the reduction of the concept of speciality. And now we're at this overarching theorem again for sensorality. The difference between E and A is I. It's immediately validated by speciality. Right? The spelling of that word is the sequence E, the vowels, E, I, A, I, and then again, the letter Y representing the sound E is some sort of open functionality. We've covered that extensively in the previous episodes, not going to re-talk about that. And so we just continue to execute this analytical process to arrive at the natural definition, what is sensorality? For example, what is fluency? Ask any linguist, they'll have no idea what you're talking about, or you'll get different answers. You'll not have a consistent response, but words are naturally defined, right? Fluency is influential. The word influential spells out the word fluent. That is that irreducible base, that is the irreducible association of sound to meaning, and then this representation, spelling, assigning shape to sound, reflects a bunch of geometric properties that have not even been articulated in math class. So we have a lot of catching up to do. Again, there's not stuff that's even publicly acknowledged. But if you're watching this on YouTube, everybody in academia behind closed doors is well aware of what's going on. And so I just present my information for anybody to see it and as complete as possible. So going through the derivation steps. Memorality is retained. Again, memorality, the natural progression of memory, and morality, what is right, memory, remembering what is right is memorality. Is trigonometry logarithmic? And again, if you're just watching this video, the associations might seem random, but again, we're at this point of syllability, just how these chunks of irreducible representations of concepts, letters, move through logical progression. Is trigonometry logarithmic? Sensorality is logarithmicality. And conceptually, on a personal level, that kind of swallows up all of algorithm. We have to work through algorithm. We're not at the final reduction. It'll probably come up again, but algorithm and logarithm are just direct iterations of the placement of the letters, specifically the first four. Liability is the ability to lie. But then again, also, we are creating this false paradox, right, linguistically, that we're going to resolve with sensorality. And so, right, logarithm versus algorithm, most poignantly, that step to me is, again, some sort of iteration of this A in the A. Again, in Cyrillic, in the Russian or in the Russian language, right, you'll say O as A, and it's just some functionality of this O and A happens in a lot of languages. Liability is the ability to lie. Again, a natural definition. Fluency is influential. Liability is the ability to lie. Language is directly literal. Lying, lies. Natural definition, emphasizing the spelling. The Y, the L to ying, lies, L-I-E-S. Disingenuous, generalized, disingenuity is liability. And that is a fundamental theorem. If you're disingenuous, that is a liability. Liability is facetiality. So taking the syllability, the letters representing the sound, from facetiousness, the title of the last episode, we generalize that concept. You put ality naturally, facetiality. And we've preserved enough of the pronunciation that we haven't changed the meaning. But now again, speciality, 5 syllables. Sensorality, 5 syllables. Facetiality, 6 syllables. So again, this numeric limit, we have this fundamental stability of 2, yin, yang, up, down, left, right. We've gone through that ad nauseum. But we have to derive from more syllability to less syllability. So still this chronological solidification of functionality we have not done, but forced sensorality has been done for speciality. Faciality is liability. Facetiality is liability, facetiality is disingenuous. Again, a direct phonetic expansion of faciality, facetiality. But again, saving face, faciality, facetiality. Sensorality is facetiality, sensorality is setiality. Emphasizing the spelling, both are natural definitions. What is facetiality to speciality? A facade is facetious. Again, languages are distinct. You can tell French from German when it's spoken. What exactly differentiates one language from another is kind of what we're demonstrating as well, right? The word facade, if you spell that, you put the cedille on the C, right? Is that English? All right. And so languages are not well defined. Languages are distinct. Syllability is well defined. This irreducibility of meaning to syllable. A facade is facetious. Sensorality is asciality. Just the A and then sciality. Is like ace, asciality. Is ace special? Acing is special. Acing, icing. What is icing to icicle? Again, emphasizing this syllability of icicle. Is literally just like the direct iteration of I-C-I-C-L-E, a very geometric word. And again, worth pointing out the serendipity of language, right? progress isn't linear. This association of meaning to syllability might seem random again because it's just collection of meaningful descriptions throughout history. But cyclicality is acyclicality, emphasizing the spelling, and that is a direct iteration. Où est ici en français? Where is here? Donde es aquí? Right? Emphasizing the words of here. And so those aren't random switches to random languages, which I make fun of a lot of times. It's the syllability, the letters representing the sounds. If it's a majority in French or majority in another language, I present it in that language. And additionally, once you study enough languages, which I've studied a bunch, certain parts of logic will articulate in the native languages. But go ahead and make fun of me if you want, that's fine. I do not remotely fucking care. But ici, aquí, right? Ici en français is literally ici. And then aquí, again, this base E. Sensorality is the theme of hear. Hear ye. Hear ye, hear ye. Hear, theme, emphasizing the progression of R to N to M, a very clear geometric sequence progression. What is mode to slope? Sensorality intercepts, right? Y equals mx plus b. B is the y-intercept. Sensorality is interceptionality. Intercept concept. What is interception to intersection? So again, this fundamental differentiation that stabilizes the definitions, that makes them sufficiently different. Sweatshirt, notebook, pants is some sort of inversion, internal representation of sound. Interception, intersection. Why do we call the y-intercept not an intersect? Outliers skew average more than median. Again, mean, median, and mode. Mode, most, mean, average, median, middle. It's a meaningful, right? Meaningful differentiation. That one always stays with me, but it's some sort of fundamental differentiation. But from that statement, it's evident and apparent in statistics. You have one outlier, and it's going to skew the average farther than the middle. That's why you use median a lot more than mean, but words have meaning, not median-y. You get what I'm saying. Censorship skews. From outliers skew average more than median, I took the syllability skew. Because all of this derivation is all one big progression. Brad, we're on part 417. And don't forget, there's a whole complete derivation before that and another one before that and theorems the entire time. It's a lot to catch up on. Censorship skews. What is censorship to stewardship? Steward is a steward, like the name. Again, names preserve syllability. John Bays at whatever school he teaches at. Emily Rial, Base. Names preserve syllability. Sensorality is exponential decay. So when you think exponentiation, at least I am, you're thinking growth. But if you take a base number, 1 to the half power, you get 1/2, right? You flip it. A power, an exponent that is a fraction produces an inverse. Fundamental theorem of mathematics. But overall, right, exponentiation, we have this dichotomy to all words. We think intuitively, at least I did, I'll speak for myself, exponentiation, we're growing. But exponential decay is also a thing. Exponentiation is a process of rapid growth and rapid decay. And the limit is represented asymptotically. And so sensorality is exponential decay. Again, critical dampening is also immediately present when I see exponential decay, critical dampening. How fast, right? Say a sentence as fast as you can. Say a sentence as fast as you can. You have to preserve the syllability. You have to articulate, enunciate each unit for people to be able to hear you, but then you're minimizing rhythm. And minimizing rhythm produces a vibration, right? When we have this inversion, sometimes we say rhythm, sometimes we say vibration. Sometimes we say energy, sometimes we say entropy. And this whole time we have chronology. How does that resolve what is going on? because this fundamental dichotomy, energy, entropy, velocity, viscosity, is present. Again, we're working out all of those things in this context. What is sensorality? What is censorship? What is senses? My microwave is not a sensor like I am. Why is that spelled wrong? Just taking you through any logic that is present. Sensorality is decality, right? Decay, generalized. Take off the Y, add lity. Rhythm regulates cadence, right? The base of decay is cadence. What is cadence to density? A den is a home. Sensorality is deniality. So now at this point, explicitly articulating, I'm going from ality to neality naturally. But again, it's this, what is the difference between E and A is I. So now that we've articulated and proven that, it just comes, again, on a personal, direct feeling way. I'm not like making any of this up. There's so much derivation, I don't remember any of it. I remember all of the big, like, conceptual, analytical tools and progress, but it's all novel. This is a novel derivation. And so, again, in relation to speciality, the people that know who I am. But going from, at this point in this derivation, going from ality to eality, the I-A-L-I-T-Y, I've pointed out this entire time of, all right, we're working this I in and out. Pretty naturally, it's always the I-A-L-I-T-Y. Enough for me to say so explicitly. A den is a home. Sensorality is deniality. But wait a second, all right? Deniality is denial with an I-T-Y. What is facetiality to deniality, that is denial with an I-T-Y? Is denial facetious? What is triality to deniality? And again, triality is trial with an I-T-Y. Deniality is denial with an I-T-Y. What is trial to denial? Right? What is perjury? Density is undeniable. Sensorality is deniability. That's a natural definition. And again, we all have this internal, immediate awareness of common law. You go into tort law, which they currently call jurisprudence, but they'll say common law is judicial action. It's not. It's the things you inherently know is right and wrong because you're a member of a species. Right? Treat others the way you want to be treated is an articulation of common law. And so deniability is this inherent thing. When you commit an action out in the world, right? You jaywalk. You say, well, you immediately are kind of aware because you're born into a society. Is this right or wrong? Is this consistent with law or is this illegal? Is this deniable? Is really like the conceptualization. Do I have to take responsibility for my actions? Can I just say no really loud? Oh, dark energy exists. Nope. Rhythm and vibration do. No. Can I deny this? And so it's such a fundamental, intuitive behavior is, do I have to take responsibility for my actions, and can I deny that if it goes the wrong way? Sensorality is deniability, and that is a process that every single person goes through every single day with every choice they make. And obviously, I would never have personally commit crime because that's illegal, but if you engage in criminal activity, it is such a poignant step. It's like, okay, I know this is illegal and this is wrong in terms of at least legally, like there's legal punishment. It might be morally completely okay. But overall, again, this is you can't break law is more of a sentiment to, you can't break morality. This assignment of law, literally our statute, is reflection of behavior. And at current time, the behavior of the species is just like a bunch of fucking 14-year-old kids running around. People are mature enough to be selfish, and even mature enough to be selfish in a profound way, but they don't have to take responsibility for their actions, right? Sensorality, this concept, should I censor something? Do I have to deny something? Do I have liability? Or what is liability to deniability? Is denial instinctual? And the answer is yes. Sensorality is instinctuality. And we just said it, what is deniability to liability? Right, this entire decision-making process that you personally, whoever's watching this video, right? Deniability, liability. All of the people, I called Tatiana Toro yesterday. Hey Tatiana, I proved the geometric properties of letters. Again, I have. Oh, I can't talk right now. Again, whoever's denying me at that level, all I continue to ask for is a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. And even without publication, why can't you give me a nice carnival-looking bank account so my life gets unfucked with my parents for whatever time they have left? Why is that not a thing? You guys are the most disgusting, heinous fucking individuals that have ever existed, and history will remember you for nothing else. Because at current time, again, the law is not enforced whatsoever, and that is such a carnivally fleeting, transient period of behavior, and I just happen to be born, and you can't control where you're born or when you're born, and I was born into hell. And that's Michael DeWine, that's all of my teachers at St. Francis de Sales, that's all of my old friends. People do not know how to behave, and they just sit there and say, does this affect my life? Do I feel responsibility for this? And most importantly, do I have to take responsibility for this? Can I deny this? And as long as they can say, yep, as long as I can deny this action and it doesn't affect my life, which is really like the same processing, and then they just say nope and move along. That is entirely what my life is. What is facetiousness to fastidiousness? Sensuality is fastidious. Fastidious is studious. And to the people that have my entire data output, like I said, the syllability is progressing, right? So I see mentally I've derived facetiousness, and then the word fastidious comes up in my head, and I don't know what it means. Like yesterday, sanguine, a word I've used or I've come across certainly as a native English speaker, but there's obviously words I don't know. Semantically, meaning is semantic. And so this is just worth pointing it out again, giving you every bit of articulatable logic that exists. I did not know what fastidious meant, but it builds on the syllability, and then we're showing this differentiation. Fastidious is studious. Sensuality is studious. Sensuality is studiosity. Sensuality studies. Sensuality studies remedy. Are remedies remedial? Is median remedial? And again, we'll get to this point. Again, sensuality, right? We've been emphasizing, again, we've made a clear difference between the sound and the letters, and we're integrating both. The concept, what is censorship, is already present. We're making that difference that's already present in our linguistics, censorship with a C, censorship with an S. But in reality, it's just this, it's a unique chronological progression to complete syllability. All of the logical implications that are implied or created by the base sense. Sense, sensation, sensuality, which is consent, sexuality, which again, I'm still not sure, but it's close enough, sentience, and it's a completable chunk of syllability. And so, wanting to emphasize that, that's the shape, assigning shape spelling, assigning shape, Sally sells, James show me sells she shores. you get what I'm doing. Fuck, I messed it up. Like I literally messes with my own presentation of language because I'm flip-flopping. On a direct personal level, I don't feel my visual input flipping my linguistics. I literally feel the geometry of what people call what is chirality, of like flipping the representation, because I personally iterate all of language like backwards or something. But we're going to have this, again, integration phonetically, like the sound sensorality. We'll be able to, again, articulate that without any letters on the screen, and you'll be able to like hear and feel the phonetic being blended into, again, some really common phrase. We're showing, again, you've never heard of sensorality, but it's just like the proto form. It's a set of syllability that's going to integrate the actual sound. And then the linguistics, that's the finalizing reduction. Right? That speciality is special with an ITY. We just have to get our concepts in the right area, and then again, the literal sound will be a demonstration, no more poignant or less poignant than any other step. But emphasizing the actual integration is kind of like this blending or swallowing up of the actual phonetic sounds of sensorality. Right? Because we already have censorship, sensation, we just have to get it in the right order. Sensorality is remediality. Remediality is basic. Remedial is base. Dialing tunes in. Dialed in is locked in. Dialing is rotation, right? We have old phones, shh, shh, shh. That's rotation. Is rotation rational? Right, all movement is discrete, everything is rational. What you call the whole numbers and natural numbers are the only numbers. And any sort of fraction is a comparison of this irreducibility. 4 over 3 is 3 and 1/3. But it's just representing this irreducibility. And it's most readily appreciated. It's what people structured math. It's irreducibility is the overarching concept of prime numbers, or like what people are trying to do there. So that's another example. It's like nobody's out there saying like what's the motivation of a prime number? And like that's like the right question asked to generate this complete conceptualization of irreducibility. And so there's just so many huge, massive chunks of ontology that are just not built out, and you have like nothing to reference to. Right? And all of this stuff is just, here's the final right answer. My life has never started. Is rotation rational? All movement is rational. All movement is discrete. All objects are discrete. Mass is discrete. Density is definite. Wrong is inaccurate. Sensorality is accurality. Sensorality accurates. Grading is rating. Natural definition, greeting is great. Feeling sensates. Those two steps, greeting is great, emphasizing the double E to the EA, right? Feeling sensates, double E to the EA, right? E is our base. How many words have a double A? I'm not looking at you, Scandinavia. Yeah. But again, this overall filtration, E is the base. We have this fundamental inversion to A geometrically. The difference is I. The difference between 3 and 8 is I. Or 3 and 8 is 5. And then the difference between E and A is I. I always mix that up. Or just not articulate it completely. But feeling sensates. And so again, we have this solidification, stabilization of vowels, I think. Resonance, I think. And the consonants are iterating, I think. But we definitely have this progression of feeling, double E to EA, and then again, this like archaeology, right? That's A to the E. But overwhelmingly apparent, we have all of these word forms where we're showing some sort of complete iteration, progression of vowels, or of consonants, or of both. And again, we've already done the whole thing. I'm presenting this as completely novel. Sensorality was, right? We have to complete it. Things are in the past, have completed. Sensorality was. Sensorality was a weak week. Like, I had a bad week on the sales floor. It was a weak week. So again, just progressing. Again, the stabilization of sensorality is just one other step in this whole progress, and each step is the same quality of analysis. My rights continue to be violated. I continue to beg. Again, what is being done to me is the most heinously disgusting fucking shit that could ever occur. No one cares. I document as much as possible. That is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.